You don't belong here. He didn't shout it. He didn't need to. The words slithered between courtroom pews like a poison, low, smug, deliberate. Julia Nassar stood at the defense table, her hands trembling just enough to betray the steel beneath. Her hair was tied tight. Her blazer was too big, thrifted from a local charity drive. Her heels had cracked soles, and her eyes were exhausted but undefeated. The prosecutor didn't even look up from his folder. Just smirked like it was a punchline. You're not qualified for this case, he added. This isn't a classroom. But this wasn't about her. This was about the boy beside her, Javier Ortiz, 17, charged with assault and resisting arrest. His eyes were hollow. His hoodie was too thin for November. His public defender hadn't shown. Julia had seen his name on the docket by chance. And she'd stepped in. No fanfare. No permission. Just purpose. She'd passed the bar 3 weeks ago. No big firm behind her. No legacy name. Just the daughter of a seamstress and a gas station mechanic from the wrong side of Chicago. She'd grown up watching her neighbors lose everything because they couldn't afford to speak. She promised herself that when she had a voice, she'd use it. And now, standing in a courtroom full of Ivy League neckties and empty empathy, she was keeping that promise. The judge, an older woman with tired eyes, cleared her throat. Ms. Nassar, are you officially representing Mr. Ortiz? Yes, Your Honor, Julia said, steady. Pro bono. Another chuckle from the prosecution table. Pity doesn't win cases, the ADA sneered. Julia didn't respond. She simply opened her file. But inside, her heart thundered. Not from fear. From rage. Not at him. But at a world where truth required credentials and compassion was mistaken for weakness. The trial began. Witnesses were called. Testimonies fumbled. The boy remained silent. Julia stood each time with quiet fire. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't play to the gallery. But she listened, truly listened, in a way no one else did. She saw the contradictions. The surveillance footage timestamped at 9:46 p.m., yet the officer claimed the arrest occurred at 9:15. The medical report that didn't mention bruises where punches were allegedly thrown. She questioned the officer with respect, but with a precision that made the room lean in. And when she asked about the missing 8-minute body cam gap, the silence said everything. The prosecutor grew flustered. The judge grew focused. And the jury began to see. Not just the case. But Julia. She wasn't flashy. She wasn't smooth. But she was real. Every motion. Every fact. Every pause. And it wasn't about winning. It was about honor. About standing in a room that told her she didn't belong and staying anyway. After 2 days of testimony, the jury returned in less than an hour. Not guilty on all major charges. Misdemeanor charge reduced to time served. The judge looked directly at Julia. Ms. Nassar, well done. The courtroom buzzed. The ADA stormed out. Javier's mother cried into her coat sleeve. But Julia didn't smile. She just nodded and packed her file. She didn't need applause. She needed change. Outside the courthouse, as reporters circled and questions flew, Julia kept walking. Until a voice stopped her. It was the judge's clerk. There's something you should know, she said. The judge asked for your resume. There's an opening in the public defender's office. Julia froze. Not because she was surprised, but because this time, she was ready. It's about legacy. About fire passed down through silence. About what happens when someone walks into a space that wasn't made for them and refuses to walk out quietly. She didn't carry a last name that opened doors. She carried a promise that did. Because sometimes the strongest voice in the room isn't loud. It's unshakable. Pushpin presented by the Soul Script, where quiet courage becomes unforgettable. Speech balloon. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments. Who's the one person who stood up for you when the world turned away? Warning: this story is a fictional dramatization inspired by real events in courtrooms across America. Viewer discretion advised.